Hi everybody, I'm Pamela Atwood. I'm a gerontologist, certified dementia practitioner, and a certified laughter leader. And welcome to our Confident Caregiver series. Feels like it's been a long time. I've been really busy. I've been writing a lot. We have our blog on agingcareacademy.org, and I've been writing for that. And I've also been doing some guest authoring a few other places, which I'll announce soon. I wanted to put a post out there, though, because this coming week is Brain Awareness Week, and Hebrew Healthcare will be dropping some hints on Facebook and through social media venues like Periscope and Instagram and whatnot. But I wanted to at least share with you some of the research that I pulled together for some of our information. And the article is available on agingcareacademy.org, but I thought I would share it with you this way as well. So, what I loved about this research, actually, this was research that I read in the current issue of Alzheimer's and Dementia, which is the Journal of the the Alzheimer's Association. And the research that was done, there are several reasons that I always say to caregivers, you need to be very careful about the research that you're reading, because a lot of times you'll have observational studies or correlational studies, and we don't really get a lot of information from that, except that more research needs to be done. I'm hearing a lot more from people, whether it's a supplement with a couple of initials or coconut oil or turmeric, and I want to say something about those too, because I also use some of those things, but I'm here to tell you it's not just any one thing. It really is, when we're talking about brain health and minimizing our risk for dementia, it's about a whole lifestyle. And that's what the best research is showing us. So I wanted to share with you this information that came out in the February 2016 issue of the journal. And this is an article that was actually published on research that was done in Sweden. And what I loved about this research is a couple of things. Number one, it was very well done and very well designed. And you can certainly read about that in the article if you were interested. But I also like that it's a longitudinal study. That means it's done over many years. So it wasn't just a one-shot study. They actually compared and then re-interviewed and retested people at different intervals, so every 3 years, every 6 years, etc. And the other thing that I liked about it is that it's a large study. So the original cohort that they studied was like 6,000 people. They whittled down to get people for this particular nutritional study, and it was about over 2,000 people who were able to participate in the study. So it's wonderful information because it's from such a large population that is relatively generalizable, especially when you look at also all of the different factors that they took into consideration, not just demographics, but they looked at a lot of other generalizable population information like race, age, gender, ethnicity, all kinds of information about their health, their socioeconomic status. A number of different factors went into this. So I really do like the research study for that reason, because I think that it's a research study that actually does mean something. So let me tell you what the results were. This is actually a really cool study. What they did was they actually looked at what they called a Western diet. I think we can all imagine what that is, versus a prudent diet. Now, the Western diet, of course, was high in red meats and processed meats, high-fat dairy, saturated and trans fats, and all of the stuff that the American Heart Association and the Alzheimer's Association and everybody else, Cancer Society, say that we should be avoiding. And the prudent diet was more of a Mediterranean style, or even the Mind diet. I also read some recent research about the Mind lifestyle diet as well. And so the prudent diet was much more like those. Healthy fats, lean meats, poultry, fish, and then mostly fruits and vegetables, whole grains, and a lot of water. So what they found, what I loved about this research, was that the people who followed the more prudent diet had substantially lower cognitive declines over the course of time of this study. And I thought that was interesting for two reasons. Number one, although it is correlational, it's not absolute fact that this is what was related to it. It is a very interesting comparison, and I think it's a very interesting insight as to what else is happening. We all know that diet is having a lot of impact on our cardiac health, and what they've been saying over the recent decades is what's good for your heart is good for your head. So it does make sense that there's a connection there. But here's the best part. What they found is that 68% of the time, people were only following that prudent diet mostly. It wasn't an all or nothing thing. Now, I'm the kind of a person who it's an all or nothing thing. If I'm, I can remember way back when we all used to smoke, and I used to smoke, and I would be like, okay, I always wanted to be one of those people who could only like smoke when she drinks, because I so rarely go out for a drink. But I would never be able to do it. I could never do that. I am an all or nothing kind of person. If I'm going to start smoking, I'm going to be smoking 3 packs. So I know I'm an all or nothing person with that. I'm also an all or nothing person with the diet. And I think many of us are. We start off on Mondays, we do our diet, we do our exercise. We have one day that we mess up and we're like, oh, that's it. Can't do it. I'm a failure, which of course is ridiculous. But what I like about this study is that they showed that people, even if they just stuck with the diet most of the time, they still had a substantial decline or less decline than if the people only followed the Western diet. Let me say that again, because that I don't think made sense. So what they did was they looked at the amount of cognitive decline. 50% less cognitive decline if you followed the prudent diet part of the time, most of the time. So what that tells us is that even though prudent diet would be beneficial for your brain health all the time, even if you mess up some of the time and slip a little bit here or there, as long as you're following that diet most of the time, you're not going to have as much cognitive decline as someone who never follows a prudent diet. That's important, I think, because we need a little hope and we need to be able to be realistic. Yes, a prudent diet is going to be more healthful, and we all need to try to do that. I mentioned some of the other spices and oils and whatnot. So I recently had turmeric added to my diet, and I thought, because I have an inflammation problem, I have some arthritis in my knees, and between my husband, the physical therapist, and my orthopedist, and my nurse practitioner, my general practitioner, I don't see a geriatrician yet, although I love all the geriatricians that I know. What they told me is to add some turmeric. So did a little research, found out about the wonderful properties of turmeric. And yes, there's a lot of anti-inflammatory properties in that. So of course I start sprinkling it in everything that I'm making. And when I went to the orthopedist, he said, oh, that's good that you're using turmeric now, but what? No. Oh, no, you need much more than that. And I said, what? So he actually put me on several hundred milligrams of turmeric a day. And I'm not telling you this to give you medical advice. Please don't start it without talking to a medical professional. But if you're using turmeric and using like 900 to 1500 milligrams per day, hey, I'm on the bandwagon too. That's amazing outcomes that they're looking at. And actually my orthopedist said that some of the research is now saying even 900 milligrams is better than glucosamine. So certainly not going to cure the arthritis in my knee, but if it helps a little bit, then I'll try anything. Anything's better than that surgery. Although I understand from the people who've had the surgery that it's not that bad, but we'll avoid it as long as we can. So that's the interesting information. Those of you who have emailed me, yes, of course, I have heard about EHT. It's not something that I'm interested in learning more about at this time. I also know that there's a medical food called Oxana that the FDA has approved. And that's actually something that some of the research institutes near me here in Connecticut are researching as well. So I think that there are a lot of new programs that are looking into some of these things and new research projects that are looking at them. Also, of course, coconut oil. But like I said at the beginning, it's probably not any one thing that's just too easy. These are complex diseases that affect multiple different parts of the brain. And I think that we probably need a complex strategy to minimize our risks of getting them and then treating them once we do get them. All right, so that's my show for tonight. I found a really cool thing, and I don't know why I didn't share this with you sooner. These are cards that someone gave me a few years ago, and they're by Yanala, I'm terrible with names. Yanala Van Zant, and it's tips for daily living. It's a 50 card deck, and I really love it, and I love the little box. I think it's really pretty. It's really cute. And so every day I pull out a new card, and this one, coincidentally enough, was, are you willing to be nurtured today? Self-nurturing empowers the creative, sustaining power of life. So I love creativity and I love sustaining the power of life, and we need to focus on how we nurture ourselves as caregivers. So I leave you with that. I wish you good health and good happiness. Feel free to continue watching these shows, and of course, as always, I hope that you find yourself in a situation where you're a more confident caregiver. Our Aging Care Academy series is gearing up again. In April, we'll be starting our series. We've partnered with the American Institute in West Hartford, Connecticut. So we'll be holding our courses there over at that college. So you can certainly find out more about our our live courses at www.agingcareacademy.org. The article that I wrote that goes with this is also on that website now, and a few more articles that we're posting for Brain Health Month, including information on dancing, information on cognitive fitness. I'm looking at my cheat sheet, spirituality, health and wellness, all kinds of good things. So until next time, I'm Pam Atwood, and I hope that you will continue to look for me on HebrewHealthcare.org or AgingCareAcademy.org. You can follow me on Instagram at Pamela.Atwood, and of course, email me anytime at PamelaAtwood, LOL, @gmail.com. Thanks a lot. Have a good night.